Welcome back, guys, to another FRL podcast. We are here for season 5, round 7 at Zandvoort tonight, and I am joined with Jay Hartnell and Swinney. How are we tonight, boys?
Let you go, Swinney, first.
Oh, sorry, no, my bad. Yes.
I just checked to see if I was muted then.
No, ignore that bit of miscomms there, guys. Yeah, I'm doing well. I had a day off work today, actually, so I've had a very lazy day. Literally saved all my energy for the race tonight. And when we get to talk about last week, I'll be even more excited later on. So I'll leave it at that for now. But yes, very good. Doing well, thanks.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm very good, Jack. Cannot complain. I'm exactly the same as Swinney. Unfortunately, fortunately for me, it's not just one day off. I've got this week off. Thanks for it to be obviously Easter next week, so I'm spending the whole week with the wife and kids. So very well. How about yourself, Jack?
Yeah, really good, really good. Really busy, still enjoying my new job, which is great. And yeah, just really looking forward to getting back in doing tonight, really, as much as I hate Zandvoort, but I mean, yeah, anything can happen there, so just really excited.
Indeed. I must admit, I'm probably one of the only very few people that actually like Zandvoort. I would say it's up there in my top 3 tracks, I think.
It's
very much excited for it.
It's a track which rewards consistent driving, which means it kind of naturally falls into being one of my more favourite tracks, but at the same time, I don't know, I think this track is one of the ones that's most out to kill you on the calendar, and I think I enjoyed the challenge of that. And as long as it's just keep it neat and tidy and get to the finish line, you'll be rewarded for it, because it's always a very, very attritional race whenever we've been there in the recent times. So, yeah, you're looking that half the grid might not make it.
I think it's I only found out last night, racing Jeddah. It's sort of like, I like the tracks just over one lap where you can literally, when you're just confident, you think, oh, I can get out of Q1. I don't really need to push it too much. And I find Zandvoort, very much like Jeddah, as I found out last night, I haven't really done Jeddah too much, it's one of those tracks, especially in Sector 2, you can literally push it to the absolute limit. I find, just to try and extract that extra lap time, say, to keep up with the quickest guys. I find it to be a track where I can literally just push it and be at the limit. Yeah, fair enough. It could go horribly wrong. You could sort of like catch a curb on the left-hand side in that Sector 2, and yeah, you're in the gravel and you're in the wall. But I think it's one of those tracks where it could throw up quite a few surprises in qualifying, with people that are slightly a bit more confident about pushing the limits.
Indeed, Bowie, you got a story about bottling it at Zandvoort? There's normally one.
There's actually a couple. I'm just more shocked that Hartnell loves this track when there's not many straights. It's all corners, so I'm not sure how your 1-1 wings are going to cope, mate. But
it's going into that chicane towards the end. I can't remember what turn. I think it's turn 13, 14. I think that chicane, as you open up the DRS, the second DRS, and it's very much a fan of that. And I'm also very much a fan of the banking as well. That's when the 1-1 wings come into play.
There's not many hard braking zones, is there? So 1-1 wings probably works okay.
You say that. You won't be saying that when I'm in the wall.
Or in your side pod, Swinney.
Exactly, yeah.
No, I think as I proved last week at Abu Dhabi, I did well to avoid all the carnage. But let's go to last week. How was it for you guys?
I'll let you go first, Jack.
Yeah, just before I do, some absolute legends subscribed for 4 months to the FRL channel, so that deserves a shout out. Who's Jack Bowie 95? What a guy. But no, I didn't like last week. Moving on, how was your guys' race?
Yes, yes, I'm exactly the same as you. Unfortunately, I got used as a car pinball I think it's the only way I can really describe it for, I'm saying 95% of the race. And unfortunately, well, fortunately, I got into a really good position. I think I was in P4 going into the final 2 laps, and I hit Bowie curb, as as it's now known, and unfortunately DNF. But
Yeah,
I think
it was unfortunate. Don't tell anyone where Bowie Curb is. The legends will know. If you know, you know. Um, but I know I was the same. I'll say a bit about my race. It was shaping up to be very, very interesting. Swinney was leading after the restart. Um, and Smalley, don't worry, bro. I'll get there. I've just seen your comment. I'll get there. And I was chasing him down basically with a few others on softs, but our softs were it was touch and go whether they get to the end, and Swinney was definitely getting to the end. So it was shaping up to be a really good couple of laps. And then unfortunately, I was just alongside my teammate, and he got a snap of oversteer as I went to go alongside him, and we just both ended up wheelless in the barrier, which was just, it was unfortunate. It wasn't, it was just one of those things. And before that, I outbroke myself twice and just decided to use Smalley as my brake, which also wasn't my finest moment. But he let me off, and he didn't hate me because he won the race. So I applaud you for that. Applaud you for that, Smalley. But how was your Swinney?
Mine, long story short, I started P19, finished P2, and I would have won in P1 if it wasn't for you crashing and causing a safety car. No, but all in all, all in all, after what we talked about last week, where we kind of predicted all three of us would not make it to the finish line, I could not have asked for a better race. I had a great lap one. Just kept it on the black stuff the whole way throughout. Always pitched at the right time for the right tyres. Yeah, it was good racing, consistent. Even got 3 seconds, managed to pull away from the pack to keep my P2. So no, it was a very good evening's work from myself.
yeah, it definitely was a cracking drive, Michael. I must admit.
Ah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
It's
great
two
drive.
2 weeks in a row I've got driver of the day, so it's starting to get some recognition amongst the rest of the drivers as well.
Do you need a pin, mate, just to deflate that head of yours, or should we move on?
I mean, you're talking about some legend subscribing for 4 months, so your head's not fitting out of the room. Now mine isn't, so you know what, we're just going to have to stay here for a bit longer talking about F1, aren't we? But just to quickly, I just seen Matty G's commented in the channel. He's back tonight, mate. Good to have you back. I remember your races in Tier 2 were always good, so I hope you have a good one tonight on your comeback, mate.
Come back on the wheel as well.
Ah,
Nice.
more balls than me then.
Nice.
And then Tier 2, I mean, we're going to have to find something new to say about Tier 2 at some point, aren't we? But for now, it's Scenario 7-1 again, although I know this time Jack DNF pushed him really closely because it took a last lap overtake to take the win, if my sources are correct.
They are correct. Yes, that was well, going by what DNF told me. So yeah, I heard it was incredibly close, and he was kicking himself as well for it.
Yeah, and for both races, again, I kind of see Abu Dhabi as one of those tracks where you do well to get 10 finishers, because again, it's a very attritional race for mostly Bowie Corner. But again, both tiers had 13 finishes, which I think is a really good rate and really good to see.
It is, yeah. I remember distinctly in Tier 2 last year, last season, there was only, I think there was 9 finishes. So I think Tier 1 last season as well. I think there was, 11 finishes, I think, in total. So, yeah, it's definitely
Saw
a
that
great
Warrior
improvement.
made a pit stop. Here
Especially with a track like Abu Dhabi as well. It's not the easiest, and like you say, Michael, it's an attritional track, and it's a great test, isn't it? Really, to be honest, it's one of those ones. If you make it through the first sector, there's always going to be sector 2 or sector 3 that you could lose it. There's no sort of set sector where you can actually bank on. Oh, I can hold it here.
Definitely agree.
No, indeed, just a couple more comments I've just missed in the chat. Ethan Willett, super glad to join this league. No, thank you very much for being here and part of this league, mate. Welcome to it. I hope you have a great time racing here. Eiling's looking forward to this race. Oh, mate, Alex, you've been having a great season in Tier 1. You keep it up, mate. I'm sure you'll have another good one tonight. I've said that now, I'm probably going to end up bumping you off track completely accidentally. And Kevin, mate, no one cares what you've got to say, you're washed.
Just another quick word on iLinks. What an amazing job he's done on Monday Night Madness as well. Been in Williams and Haas for 6 weeks. Yeah, must be about 6 weeks now. And still right up there towards the top of the championship. Doing an absolutely great job in realistic Haas and Williams. So he's having an absolutely great season. This one in FRL.
No, indeed, fantastic. I mean, one of them things I think on that Madness, if you take the lead of the championship early, you kind of think, oh, I can be. You get those cards because that's the draw and that's the rules of Monday Night Madness. But at the same time, if you keep sticking in them, that means you're doing enough to keep picking up points in those cards to stay in the lead of the championship. And again, tops off, not tops off, hats off. That's not that kind of program. This.
We're not. Yeah, not yet. We're not that yet. No, I do love it, but obviously, yeah, the standings have changed a bit, haven't they, from last week because of.
Oh, you mean we'll just look at the standings as a result of all that madness that happened last week? To be honest, I'm only too happy to oblige because I've snuck into the top 5 in Tier 1. I say snuck into. I've got a lovely 16-point cushion into the top 5 at the moment, and I'm not looking to push beyond that because like those 4 drivers above me, I'm not catching them. I'm smart enough to know that. It's keeping that pack behind me, essentially.
Actually, if there's no safety cars between now and the end of the season, mate, you'll beat Kevin easy because he can only do well when there's a safety car.
Yeah. Adding to the evidence.
That caught you off guard.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well done. You get a clap for that, Bowie. That was great. Oh, yeah.
But yes, it is. Kevin's commenting.
Right, if he spins again in the opening couple of laps and the safety car recovers him again, that'll be what, 3 races in a row, if that. Actually, if you include other races like Super Sunday, not just Tuesdays, it'll be about 5 races in the space of 2 weeks. The safety car saved his bacon. So, like, all the evidence is stacked in our favour, Kevin. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, definitely. But no, you are right with the standings, though. Obviously, it's changed massively over the last couple of weeks, really. You're kind of sitting very pretty now in P5. I wouldn't say very pretty, but I'd say you, Sadistic, and iLinks are probably a battle for P5 at the moment, which is a real testament to iLinks, as we just said, improved massively as a driver since coming up to Tier 1. And Sadistic, obviously, Mr. Consistent. We all know about him and what he's capable of, but I do think it's really realistically out of you 3, in my opinion, for a top 5.
I wouldn't rule out Carlos Killer either, but then I'd say the guy below him especially and everybody else below, not a chance.
As long as he doesn't use you as a pinball, mate, you're fine. Sorry, Carlos, I'm only pulling your leg. No, I would have to agree with you, Jack. I can't see past. I think it's going to be out of you 3 guys to round off the top 5. I think the only way that anything could happen on that front is maybe Jack. Maybe if you got a win potentially.
Okay, now we're definitely getting ahead of ourselves.
Right. Yeah, well, it's Sandville, isn't it? Anything could happen. So
you are right there. I think I have had a few races where I've been unlucky, and I've had a few races where I probably could have had a podium, but typical bottle job Bowie turned up.
I think it's out of. Yeah, I'm going to throw your hat into the ring. I think it's out of. Yeah, you thought to get that P5 to P9 and P10 downwards, and then again it's going to be anyone's guess basically. But It's I must admit, it's not been good on my front this season, but to watch some of the races, it has actually been really close between everyone. There's never been more than sort of, especially when you look at qualifying in tier one. I'm not 100% sure on tier two, but I know for tier two, the top 10 are never sort of away from the 1 second mark from P10 to P1. But if you look at tier one, sort of P1 to probably P16, 17, there's never any more than sort of 1.2 seconds, which has been really good.
No, I mean, there's been plenty of times. I mean, it was kind of a case in evidence for me last week where I got caught out in Q1. Like, I timed my runs wrong, so I only got one run in it, but it was the slowest run of anyone who set a lap because you can't really just bank on one lap being, well, I can't anyway, because my one lap pace isn't all that. I know Smalley's in the chat, and that's a completely different matter, but still, speaking for myself, yeah, I couldn't do like the first quali run and think that's that. It's very rare that's to be the case. Normally, if it's a track where 3 drivers may have crashed and DNF'd and not been able to set a lap in Q1, I might think I'd be okay, but normally, apart from that, normally I have to go and do 2 runs in Q1 for myself, which is, yeah, testament to the competitiveness of the grid.
Yeah, definitely. And also, Jack, you knocked me out by literally, what was it, 0.02 of a second last week. I'll be up for avenging that this week.
It was 2000. I almost nearly bottled that lap as well, because I was watching Swinney's stream and realised that he was spectating me as I was on my lap. So just going through my head in the final sector was like, oh, don't bottle it. And it was the worst final sector that I could have possibly put in. But it was incredibly close, mate. I think Carlos Killer was only 5 or 6 milliseconds ahead of me as well in the Q1 countdown. So I think there were 3 or 4 of us separated than less than half a tenth, which is incredible, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's definitely it's quick, but it's a good quick, if you know what I mean. It's sort of everybody on their day. If everybody has a really good day, it is so close, and it's really intense as well. The first, I would say, 4 or 5 laps, it just makes the race because just how close everyone is and how good everyone is. Because I can't think of anybody that I wouldn't go wheel to wheel with, really.
Even Kobe?
It depends if it's out of a corner, I would think twice. Going into a corner, yeah, it's fine. Out of a corner, yeah, where he could lose it, I would think twice. But
yeah, speaking of Kobe, actually, I only said that because I am going to say that he really impressed me last week. His quali pace, his quali lap was incredible last week in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, he didn't have the best result, but he did very, very well, and he showed that he's definitely deserves a tier 1 spot.
yeah, definitely. But we also proved that our prediction would be right, that he would crash out either on the formation lap or lap 2, I think we said. And yeah, it actually happened. Formation lap crashed out, and I think it was lap 4, wasn't it? I think
Lap 3 or lap 4, yes, yeah, not very early on.
Really.
See, we get to know our drivers in the FRL, and
we don't just roast them.
Indeed, and in testament to his pace, actually, what we've got on for the race for you is our realistic race at Singapore this Saturday just gone, which, not to spoil it for people, but I'm going to spoil it. Kobe did win this one, and it was an excellent drive, which kind of backed up his pace he was doing on Tuesdays. So yeah. No, if he can make it past 3 laps, he can do a good race if he puts his mind to it. So you never know.
Would you like to shed any light on Singapore, Michael?
Absolutely not.
what position are you in currently? Oh, you're in position DNF, I think. Yeah. What happened, bro?
Better than you being in a position, couldn't be bothered to turn up and do a shift for the team.
Wild
But
then
yes.
is on a guaranteed.
I went out
stop
for drinks
here.
and the point gap between us stayed the same, so I'm happy.
No, massive great big shout out to Rizzle, eh? What a job Rizzle done around Singapore. Not one of his favourite tracks, and I know that, speaking to him before, getting P8 around there, huge shout out to him for that.
Done
Massively
an
impressed.
excellent substitution job for us there.
Mm, 100%.
Helps make this how the team boss have a bit more of a smile than you saw on the starting soon screen.
Come on, I'm in my work gear. I'm not going to be happy.
Jay Benotto there. Oh no, it's Matteo Benotto instead of Matteo. I can think of something better for next week, guys. Don't worry.
Oh dear.
If there was a penny for every time we went off topic, the FRA would actually be £1 million organisation, I reckon. But
I would already retire every time this podcast went on a tangent and we got paid for in tangents.
It's definitely nothing compared to last season, is it? It's completely different. What's happened?
Oh, honestly, if you
Less is
watched the
more.
podcast last season and have been away for a while and come back to this nonsense, then you'd think, how big was the knock on my head? You would think that, but no. We're having a good time. I hope you are too. What else I said? Smalley is a beast. To be fair, he is. Jackson washed, debatable. He's not quite Kevin levels, but we'll see. And Matty G, if you shit on wheel, mate, you're nothing on me. I literally bought a wheel about a month ago, and I've not had much time to practice, and I'm easily about 2 to 3 seconds off pace on the wheel. So, at the very least, you are going to be better than me tonight. That's absolutely guaranteed. So, all the best for your venture on wheel.
Definitely,
we
it's not
do
easy.
we do have a few new wheel users actually, and Swinny mentioned something to me yesterday actually about trying to maybe sort some 5 lappers with people, the new guys that have just got wheels, just to have a fun and get used to it all. So we'll be trying to set that up in the next week or so, I'd say, just so anyone's keen. Watch the Sessions channel, and we'll ping a link in there.
Yeah, definitely. And if you are new to wheels, always shouting out somebody that does have wheel. If you've got any setup advice, any sort of any queries, questions, it's always worth hitting up somebody that's on a wheel. You'll see the guys that are on wheels. 9 times out of 10, they put it in "show us your rig session" in the Discord, and find somebody that's got the same wheel as you, give them a hit up, and they'll be able to sort you out.
No, excellent.
Definitely.
Right.
Should we discuss tier 2?
Tier 2, yes. Well, other than Znoro's stretched his lead again, Brutus, I don't know if he was last week, snuck into P3 in the standings. Twisted Sides, I tell you what, that battle for P3 in the standings is just as interesting as the battle for P5 in Tier 1, I must say.
I'm still not ruling out Twisted Science to go for the championship. I'm still not ruling it out.
He is there or thereabouts in the top 3 every week. And what I was actually looking at during the last thing, when you think about reasons how people could gate crash the road to the top 5, is Snoro might have the same problem as me. Now, have been said a few times on the podcast that me and Snoro do support the greatest football club in the world, Nottingham Forest. The way we're going at the moment, we're probably going to be in the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure the second leg will be on a Tuesday. So,
Bowie for 5th in the standings.
so just saying, just by default, if Forest are in the playoffs and the playoff leg is not, there's likely to be a playoff leg on a Tuesday night, and I'm telling you what, as much as I love FRL, I am not missing that.
Don't blame me, mate. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for you guys, isn't it? Try and get into the Premier.
I mean, it's a once in a lifetime chance for you to finish 5th in Tier 1, but I mean, we'll. I've used up all my jokes on you tonight, mate. I'll be nice to you for the rest of the stream.
No, that is, well, yeah. I don't really know what to say to that, other than the fact I'm sure Alex is trying to disagree about the greatest football club comment, and I'm sure he's a Sunderland fan. So, but at the same time, Bowie supports a team in League Two, so you do know what there's different levels we're talking about here.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't really do too much better after being battered 6-0 by Chelsea at home over the weekend. So I can't really talk as well.
No, indeed. But what we will talk about quickly, I think, is the constructors' battle, because my God, What a tasty Constructors Championship we've got. Ferrari then in
No, it's not.
18-point lead to Williams. Only 3 points behind them is Alfa Romeo. Further 13 points back is Red Bull. So you've got 34 points separating the top 4 in the Constructors. It's tasty, guys.
No, it's not.
A Haas driver speaks there, guys.
But no, looking upwards, it really looks to be a really good battle between the 4 teams, to be honest. And I can't really pick it, to be honest, because one week one driver has a bad race, and yet the other one picks it up. So it's going to be a good battle, I think.
I think there's something in Alpine. We are currently P7 in the standings, but I think with their tier 1 lineup of Ricky and Crossfires, that I think is probably the strongest lineup we've got in tier 1 at the moment. And then we saw Jack DNF finishing P2 last week. If he can get some consistency going and getting on the podiums in tier 2, I think Alpine could make a late charge for this one, you know.
Yeah, just looking at it now, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
If you-
Crossfires, Ricky. Ooh, that's a hard.
If you do look at it as well, though, I'm not just saying this because I'm an AlphaTauri driver, but if you look at the 2 main AlphaTauri drivers, have scored the bulk of the points because obviously the Leppi and Nicky Hardy haven't raced every race. So if for the remainder of the season we get a full lineup, we could kind of push ourselves up there as well. I'd say. I'm hoping.
I don't know, that Bowie guy drives for AlphaTauri, doesn't he?
Thanks.
Just friendly 5 would not be tolerated, mate, that's all I'm saying.
No. But in
Such
terms
a
of
knobhead.
language, Bowie, you're not meaning a Pimis. Come on.
Mature content's on its time.
No, but in terms of tier 2, yes, it is scenarios to lose, but I'm gonna throw the hat in the ring. I think Twisted Science is gonna come roaring back over the next sort of 6-7 races and push it right to the very last race.
Indeed, well, to get there, he's gonna have to start finishing some races in top standings. So I think, guys, it's probably time to get some predictions to Zandvoort down. What we saying?
Go on, Jay. Tier 2.
Put me on the spot for tier 2. Right. Okay, just only because I've been backing him for the past 5 minutes. I'm going to go Twisted Science, P1, in the Red Bull. Followed by Mr. Nivy, Mr. Consistent. He always finishes every single race. So I'll go with Nivy and P2 in the McLaren. And P3, now this is where it gets really difficult. I'm gonna go with Daz Parker in P3, with the wild card being Matty on his wheel, being the wild card.
Today, I think you're talking him down. He's saying in the chat he thinks he's gonna win. Right then, let's see where I'm gonna go. Scenario 7 to win, because logic dictates probably. Twisted Science second, because you're kind of trying to convince me, and I'm probably coming around to the idea that it's probably the second best driver in that tier at the moment. I'm going to go with... Who else is reserving tonight? There's a lot of reserves tonight. I'm going Matty G as my wild card. I'm not going to quite commit into a podium. And I'm going to say Becker on the podium then.
Okay. I'm going with scenario DNF.
Chase
Nivy. Oh. Scenario Nivy Bruce. And I am going to say Daz Parker as my wildcard for tonight.
I thought you were saying scenario to DNF then.
No.
Scenario
No.
DNF.
He hates me enough as it is. I can't put fuel to the fire.
Matty G, from most Spin Awards, it probably reminded me of something. Do you remember? I think it was when we were both in tier 2, and it was at Austria, and you were in the Aston Martin, and you did that perfect spin at turn 3 where you kind of without hitting the wall, you span and did a 180 to your car and you stopped it plumb on in the runoff area where you'd put the car away. The parallel park spin, absolutely that's what I remember. Absolutely legendary. So if you're going to spin, do it as poetically as that is all I'm going to ask for you to do tonight, mate.
Not too much to ask. Show us your car control on your new wheel. But what are we feeling for Tier 1, Hartnell?
Tier 1. Interesting. Right. I'm going to go with your teammate, Swinny, for the win in this one. Blanks. Or, I don't know quite if that's how you say it.
I change it every time, mate. I'm not 100% sure myself. I go with blanks normally, so let's go with that.
Yeah, blanks. I'm going to go with blanks. Great pace. So I think this will probably be a track that suits in. And just because it's Dutch and Holland, and just to wind up Kobe, P2. And P3, I'm going with... Sorry, Jack, mate. It's about time you had a good result. P3, Mr. Bowie. With my wild card being, I know, very controversial, Smalley.
I don't know what's worse, you put me on the podium or you put me behind Kobe. I mean...
Oh.
Yeah, he's just a bit more confident with his run around Singapore, so I think he's going to carry this on.
So I'm going to go with Dixon for the win, Smalley for P2, Kevin for P3 because there'll be a late safety car to bail his backside out again, and my wild card will be, well, I mean, it's his home Grand Prix, Pimmins is racing tonight, no other wild card, surely.
Definitely, 100%. Matty G has clipped his parallel park and put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Check that out. Give him a follow while you're there as well.
Bear with me, guys. I'm going to try and be clever at it. Can I get it up on...
Well, I'd see a doctor if you can't, but...
No, I'm...
I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be that guy.
It was trying to get it up on... Here we go, on the stream. There you go.
Parallel, that's good. I will rate.
That is perfect.
That is better than any of your TikToks, Jack.
I'm inclined to agree, but still, man, I got feelings.
You know what I suggest actually is an old book gold one, but we do not have a FRL TikTok channel. I don't think that I've got published to that one, so I think if we send that to Leclerc, that'll still be rated quite high, I reckon.
Definitely. Matty G has just said he thinks it'd be
that's it.
On there, yeah.
We'll send it to Leclerc. Coming your way through your socials shortly. Speaking of which, we've also just recently set up a Twitter account, haven't we? So we could also post a video in there if we really wanted to.
Definitely, William. If you're in the stream, lad, we'll ping it to you after. So whack on the Twitter.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
Yeah, I've just fallen off my play seat. I do apologise.
We didn't hear it. You could have played that off.
Right then.
So that's it for the main stuff. So now it's just extra waffle. But I do have something that I'd like to add actually, real quick. Myself and my friend Jordan have started a YouTube channel and an Instagram page. All things single seater, which I'm about to whack the link in the chat now. And yeah, we just get together and discuss F1 at the moment, but it's going to be all things single seater, so IndyCar, Formula E, F2 and F3 as well. And we want to get some guests on in the future. So if anyone's interested in getting involved, all that we ask is that you have a Discord account and can video call us because that's how we record it. So if anyone wants to get involved, then just give me a message. And I think Jordan's in the chat actually now as well. So welcome as well, because Jordan has joined the FRL to do some post-race comms reviews as well, which would be really, really exciting.
Sounds like a bit of a rip-off for All Driven Monday, if I'm honest with you.
But no,
Sorry, Jack. Sorry, Jordan.
but no,
Bowie has left the building.
yeah. But I would say, welcome Jordan, and as well, we've got Atlas commentating for Tier 1 tonight, so a big good luck to Atlas for that one. I'm sure we'll be able to get the link out on the, in the Discord server for commentary at Tier 1 as well tonight, but yeah, all the best for Atlas for the gig to that beforehand.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. I suppose we better get on to the subject of what were your thoughts on the weekend, chaps?
Qualifying, I was very tired because I set my alarm 2 hours earlier than I needed to, which wasn't great. But no, qualifying I felt was good. The weekend I thought was amazing. I felt really bad for Fernando. I think he could have had a very solid result. Yeah, this season just isn't disappointing at the moment.
No, I agree. Got up at 5:30 on Sunday to watch the race live, and that's been quite good for my getting up for work this week because it's kind of set my body clock to wanting to get up early. So I've actually appreciated that. Exactly. I think my main thing from it was, oh my god, Aston Martin could. When was the last time a team had a worse weekend than Aston Martin did at Australia?
Yeah, good point. I think that's from what I can remember anyway, from watching F1, that's Sebastian Vettel's worst ever weekend in F1 as well. I don't know, guys. Looking from you, I know you two guys are stewards. I'm also a steward in realistic. What do you guys make of that? Latifi and Stroll incident.
All on Stroll.
Yeah.
Because granted, Latifi let him through, but they play games every week. You get overtaken, then you overtake. Latifi probably shouldn't have been told to let Stroll go, but, mirror signal maneuver. We taught it on our first ever driving lesson. Check your mirrors before you move, and he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you try and understand the logic of what Latifi was doing, it's a bit strange. Like, he lets the car go because he believes, from what he's been told, they're on a hot lap. Then he sees that they're not on the hot lap, so thinks, well, I want to take that clean air space that I've just given up. Goes to go past Stroll. Stroll just turns right into him. Clear, that's just dangerous to turn like that and not see whether there's a car coming. Very, very dangerous. But yeah, what do you think about Alex Peter's comment? Do you think Aston Martin will score points this season at all? He doesn't think he thinks they'll get a big nil point.
Seen that. I don't know. I'm gonna be realistic. I think Aston Martin, being a team of Aston Martin, I don't think Stroll is the right man to lead that outfit. I think he needs to take a completely and utterly backseat. Yeah, finance it, but just. I also don't think they've got the right guy in. Letting Otmar Safnauer go, I think that's going to be a big thing. And letting Mike, I don't want to say his name, it sounds so rude, Mike Kraken. Obviously, he's come from sports car racing, and obviously Aston Martin said this year they want to be, challengers. I don't think it's quite the right move by Aston Martin. They will definitely score points, without a shadow of a doubt. But I just think they've got the management team completely wrong for this season, anyway.
Yeah, I think they will score points. I think all being done with that, how I think more than anything, I don't know if that car is necessarily slow. It almost sounds like from the radio snippets we heard from Stroll and Vettel, it almost sounds like a 2014 Ferrari. If that's one that had oversteer and understeer in the same corner or something, it just feels like a very, very hard to control car. And I think for me, and thinking about that, despite all those challenges, I think if Lance hadn't have weaved, he was very close to getting a point anyway. So I think with the amount of races to go, there'll be more chaotic races where if there's like 15 finishers or something, you got a chance of one of the Aston Martins sneaking into the top 10. I could see it happening. It looks like they're probably going to finish 10th in the championship unless that excellent point that Albon got is going to be Williams' only contribution, because I don't think Williams are in the greatest shape either, but they're in better shape. And but then it could be you could get another crazy race where you could get you get some proper crazy races, we could and a random team low down get us on the podium at one race, and that could be enough for the season. You do not know,
No.
but yeah, I think again, I think to what Arlington is saying is that yeah, I think it feels like there's a lot of sympathy for Vettel at this point in time. Has to be said. I don't think anyone could have envisaged this is how it would be ending his Formula One career, and I believe it is his contract is up at the end of this season. And I think if he's just
It is.
funneling around at the back of the field in Aston Martin, where's his motivation? Sort of as I think says, going to be to carry on in F1 unless some crazy offer comes up that can give him his mojo back.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I said this right at the very start. I think this would be Seb's last season in F1. I think he's not very big on social media, is he? He loves his motorbikes, doesn't he? And sort of doing up his motorbikes and stuff like that. So I think this could be, yeah, you're completely right. If there's no motivation for him to come back on the grid for next season, I don't think he will be. And yeah, I'll be sad to see him go, to be honest. He's had his critics, but
Yeah.
always been a solid and good driver. Well, you wouldn't have won 4 world championships, would you, if you were a terrible driver? And he wasn't against he wasn't against the worst drivers in the world as well. You know, Mark Webber quite easily could have won a world championship. David Coulthard as well back then. So
Yeah.
be sad to see him go, but you know,
I think he isn't Aston Martin's problem. I think I completely agree with you guys. Stroll isn't the right guy to lead the team, and Stroll isn't the right guy to be in that car either. I think ideally I'd like to see Gasly go there if they're under the right management. But you know, the guy they've got in now, he might be the guy to crack the code and move them up the grid. Sorry, I've been waiting 10 minutes to say that.
No, literally just sat here, didn't even crack a smile, just shook my head here, guys.
is your missus pregnant by any chance? That's a typical dad joke.
Oh, don't get any ideas in their head, mate. Not yet. Jem, if you're watching, ignore that. But yeah, it's a shame. They should be up the grid, further up the grid. Obviously, there's talk with the new engines coming in, Porsche and Audi coming into F1 in the next couple of years. Could Audi be an option for Aston Martin to make them a powerhouse and have a proper actual 5-year plan of maybe getting someone like Gasly in and another youngster and having someone to build that car around?
But there's also talk of Porsche and talks of McLaren as well, isn't there? So
Really exciting times coming up, I reckon.
I think so. I think the future of F1, obviously, the battle, obviously we won't talk about Abu Dhabi, it's very much tabooed, but I think that battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen last season has just breathed a new life into F1 and new interest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sort of engine manufacturers are probably going, hang on a minute, there could be a few quid in it for us. If we can put the money in, then it could be worth our while. So it's definitely exciting for F1 going forward. The next 5 years are going to be amazing, especially with the racing this season. You look at Australia, how close the cars were following. I take it not just because I'm a Haas fan, but you saw how Yuki Tsunoda and Kevin Magnussen followed. How closely Kevin Magnussen got up to the back of Yuki Tsunoda, got his braking completely wrong. That is such a positive thing that the cars can follow these days. So I think it can only be a positive thing for engine manufacturers to look into getting into F1.
No, indeed. I think it's definitely how the first few races have gone, what these regulations mean for the style of racing, and then I think because the cost cap has been known for a while, so for some big manufacturers, so then okay, this is a cost cap. That means basically we need a budget of X to commit to it, and then we go, well, is the racing any good? So therefore, even if we build a midfield car, are we in a chance of fighting for points? And based on Australia, where all of the battle was that intense midfield battle, which is if you build a half decent car, you're going to be getting fighting, lots of TV time for all your sponsors and all your promoters as well. Knowing you only have to commit to spending a certain amount of money because you're not allowed to spend more. I think F1 is certainly more attractive than any time it was in sort of in the last decade or so. Because let's face it, we've had such a long streak of stability in constructors. Because you're talking from 2016 when Haas came into the sport, they've been pretty much fixed. Okay, title sponsors have changed, have moved to main levers and names have changed, but the factories and the people working there, it's been very stable for 10 years now, which is unheard of stability for F1. And if people can see that sort of longevity when we're getting new entrants in, it's such a healthy place at the moment, sport. Such a healthy place.
Especially when you look at it as well, it's sort of obviously Haas don't build their own chassis. They don't build their suspension. Obviously, it comes from the F2 suppliers, which is Dallara. So I think as long as a company, sort of say like Porsche or something like that, can get a great engine, get Dallara to do all the aerodynamics and stuff like that, you're onto a winner, I think.
Definitely, I think it's not impossible anymore to take on the big teams. Well, I hope that's the way it's going to be looking.
I would say it's pretty hard to compete against Ferrari this season, but
well, yeah, that's true actually. But
I'll say I think Red Bull have bitten off a bit more than what they can chew this year. Try and develop obviously Red Bull powertrains. They need a couple more years to get that right before they took it on fully.
No, it is.
Well, I think it needs to. Sorry, you go, Svenny.
I was gonna, it's giving me sort of 2005 vibes at the moment this season, where the order had been shook up because the dominant constructor is now the third best one quite comfortably. You've got a driver that's dominating the season very well, and you've got another constructor which is arguably sometimes probably got a better car than them, but they just can't get that car to the finish line to make it end up being a fairly comfortable season so far for the other one. Now, we've got a lot more races to go and a lot more development in this one, but that's just the vibe he's giving me at the moment, just to add those thoughts in there. And 2005 is one of my favourite seasons of the 21st century.
Yeah, I would agree. That was an absolutely amazing season. I think this season does have the potential. It's going to be very hard to compete with last season just with the two drivers going for it. But I completely agree with the amount of manufacturers, especially now McLaren are coming back into it. They sorted out that braking issue. With a bit of luck, I think they're going to be there or thereabouts. Alpine with Alonso, I'm pretty sure he would have been on that second row over the weekend if he would have completed that lap, apart from that hydraulic issue. It's just looking like you could have 4 or 5 teams that could be quite easily on the third and fourth row, which is really exciting.
Yeah, because I think the only thing that kind of maybe not a concern as such, very heavily quoted concern, was that if you kind of got to that point where if McLaren and Alpine get to a point where they're kind of close to Mercedes as much as Mercedes thought they were, or certainly were briefing after the race they thought they were, if you've got like a consistent 5 constructors there, you don't want them always to end up locking out the top 10 in qualifying, would be my only concern. But I think it's going to change circuit to circuit, and my concern will not bear fruition. But it's definitely one of those thoughts that I had where I was like, well, if Alpine and McLaren just sort of get closest to Mercedes, that's the top 10, and your point scoring position's gone. But ignoring that, the midfield fight was still excellent. So I think I'm probably having a bit of an overreaction there to that, but. Yeah, just something maybe to bear in mind as I think all the cars beyond those maybe haven't quite got the scope to develop as much, which was my thought process.
Yeah, I would imagine so. The teams like Haas, Alfa Romeo, probably do not. Pains me to say it. Same as Williams, but I think give it another couple. Great, great race by Alex Albon. I honestly thought they were going to go to the end of the race with Alex Albon and just literally take the penalty. That's what I thought they were going to do. And literally, I thought, no, probably get 5-10 second penalty. Yeah, put them down to about 10th anyway. But great tyre management from Albon, though, to get them to do, 56 out of 57 laps. Sensational drive.
Yes, absolutely. It was just something about the C2 side that just sung with that car in terms of when you put them together. They're not really sure why themselves, and it wasn't really picked up that much because of the timing of Albon's pit stop, and it was when basically Leclerc was crossing the finish line. Albon's pit stop was really, really slow. I think it was like 4.5 seconds. They made a mistake on the pit stop. Now, it came out side by side with Zhou Guan Yu to make sure he held on to 10th. However, if he'd had a normal pit stop, he would have come out less than a second behind Gasly. And so he could have got P9 on the final lap, but we'll obviously never know. But if he'd still got P9
exactly.
from that, what an excellent drive, full stop.
Exactly, yeah. Came out literally from the pit lane side by side with Zhou Guan Yu, didn't he? It was, yeah, great fun that battle. But I will say, and just because I'm not a Haas fan or anything, Mick Schumacher, great drive from Mick Schumacher. I think he's going to come of age this year. I think.
No, I think to come back from
Very solid.
Saudi Arabia, how he was, and just kind of stuck to the task. I mean, nearly drove into the back of Tsunoda, it wasn't it? In a very weird mix-up under the safety car of lifting and braking to warm the tyres up. But that was, Jesus Christ, that was millimetres away from that.
How they did not touch, I have no idea. But yeah, to get out of that wreck that he was involved in Jeddah, and literally, I would have second thoughts about it. I don't know about you guys. I'm like, shit.
They're built as something different, aren't they? I think they go chasing danger, don't they? These guys, they don't have fear of it because they all believe they're good enough that they'll still hold it even when you're heading towards a barrier. You'll still think you've got it. Like we do the same when I'm heading towards a barrier in F1. There's not many times where I give up before I've got there. I'm just remembering this race in Singapore. I knew I gave up as soon as I was heading to the wall, but. Yeah, I don't want to end it on a down note. Just remember I'm P5 in the Tier 1 standings, guys, please.
But no, yeah, we move on to the first sprint race of the season. Imola. Oh, what a sprint race that's going to be.
Well, I think it would be testament because there aren't that many overtaking spots at Imola, so I think it's a strange one to have a sprint at. But I think this will be a proper test if the new rules and regulations work. Because if you can get overtakes galore in a sprint at Imola, then I think Ross Brawn can be a sleeper, very happy man. I'm sure he already does, but you know what I mean.
I've got a controversial opinion for Imola.
Go on.
There's a chance that Red Bull could seriously drop down the constructors' standings because their reliability. I'm predicting a DNF in the sprint, meaning one of the Red Bulls is going to be starting at the back of the grid for the race on a track with not many overtaking places.
Interesting.
Okay.
No, I see the logic. I see the logic of it.
Yeah, I can see the logic as well. Yeah, I can see the logic of that. Yeah.
And I believe as well. I believe as well. Mercedes, I think, are bringing a development they almost brought to Australia, where they are experimenting with a skinnier rear wing, which means they'll be carrying less drag on a straight line speed. They were thinking about doing it in Australia, but I think they wanted to wait for their developments. If they bring it to a track like Imola, I think that could work quite well.
I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll work wonders for Mercedes. Just a quick question. I haven't done my homework on this at all for the sprint races this year. Is sprint races in Silverstone this year?
No, it's Imola, Austria, and one of them. I want to say it might be doing Brazil again.
It's Brazil, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Brazil again?
And I know Austria's the other one.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the FIA have missed the trick there. I'm not gonna lie, I think they've missed one.
Well, is it a case of they wanted to do more? Because wasn't the argument they wanted to do 6 this year because all the venues wanted to do them because they could sell more tickets on the Saturday? But because the bigger teams said, well, we want the cost cap increasing if we're doing more sprint races, but the FIA refused to increase the cost cap, so they wouldn't vote for more sprint races. So they're basically stuck with 3 again. But I'm assuming with the new rules and regulations, they just wanted to see what it's like at different circuits. Because I agree, because I think in the future going forwards, it would be quite a good additional feature for the historic circuits, whichever ones get to remain on the calendar going forwards, because you know what the hoo-ha of going all these new places wanting circuits, and if the historic ones aren't chucking up the money, they're not just going to bid them off, which is a bit poor on F1 in my opinion to threaten that, but there we go. But as an additional aside to those sort of venues, I think it's something that we can that will stay.
Yeah, I think it will definitely stay. It's obviously not going to be a regular feature. I think it's absolutely fine keeping it sort of 3 to 4 races a year. Just obviously just to change it up. Obviously keep the fans a bit more excited. Obviously it's really nice to have sort of like a basic race, say like on a Saturday afternoon. Obviously I don't think it'll work around Melbourne, you know, where we all have to get up at like 3:30 in the morning, whether I don't think it will ever work around that track. But I think it's absolutely fine around European tracks. Absolutely fine, and I personally think probably around Jeddah as well. It would probably work quite well.
Of course, sprint race at Jeddah would be carnage, but I actually think with these new rules that they can get the sprint to work at basically any track apart from Monaco. And no, I'm waiting for all the other tracks to prove me wrong. Basically, I'm just in loving the racing we're getting at the moment.
I think Japan's going to be phenomenal
Yeah.
in Sector 1.
Speaking about races to get up early for, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Damn
Not
it.
looking forward to that one.
Right, guys, it is 10 to 8, so I think the sensible thing might be, unfortunately, to call it there. Because we are going racing.
Do you want me to leave you with the final night?
Yes.
I know you've done it.
What is your fact?
This is not a fact.
Fact,
it's
advice.
Just,
yeah, let's go for it.
It's just a general saying. All right, it's a well-known saying. It's said by one of my most favourite men. Not like that, before you ask. So I will go. Before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. After that, who cares? He's a mile away, and you've got his shoes.